My name is Robert Christopher Wayne Withers. I live at 3102 Center Hill Road, Acre, Mississippi, 38841. I am under attack by what appears to be Scientology. So from what I have observed, there is more space in the universe than humans can see. There are 11 dimensions. These dimensions reside within the particle itself. Inside of the particles in which we consist of reside 11 dimensions. You can think of our third dimension as a shell. It is of the outer layer of an inside world. We have biology in these extra dimensions. We have 11-dimensional biology. Scientology is the practice of utilizing this extra dimensional biology before we die. So this biology is designed for an afterlife. We are supposed to die and uh, do something called raising or turning around, in which we grab all of these particles in which we consist of and we go into ourselves. We turn completely around and face the opposite direction. Scientology is the practice of removing this extra dimensional biology from yourself before you die. They use technology and techniques to modify it and turn it into several upper dimensional biologies. So this biology presents itself in layers. As it grows out of us into the next three dimensions, it creates a biology. Then as our energy transcends into the next three dimensions, it creates a layer on top of that biology. And it does the same thing for the next three dimensions and the next three and so on and so forth. So there is an entanglement property between our third dimension and our inner dimensions. If you remove any part of this biology from yourself, no matter where you take it in the universe, you are still in this biology. So what happens is you can't remove energy from our particles. The particle would collapse. It would be destroyed. So space-time has to conform to ensure this doesn't happen. So if you remove a piece of your biology, and as you take it from yourself, space-time in between you and the removed biology shrinks as it leaves you, and it reduces to zero. So Scientologists like to remove this biology from themselves, and then they remove the layers from it. So they wind up with 3 or 4 layers in the upper dimensions. So these biologies can't function in this state. They have to utilize organs and tissues from other humans and other species in an attempt to make themselves whole and function properly again. So they take organs and tissues from other humans, from reptiles, from insects, and worms. There are a few alien forms, and there are lizard forms. They make a lizard person. They make insectoids or bug people, and then they make worm people. Then these biologies still can't function properly in this state. So they have to use a form of artificial stimulation to replace the biochemical electricity in which we normally produce. So this technology that they use allows them to do several things. First, they use this entanglement property to create a hive mind. It is a form of telepathy for the origin biology and the other biologies. So they like to remove biology, specifically brain tissue. So they like to remove their brain stems, their thalamus, and their eyes. And there are compounds on Earth that house this uh, biology or this removed biology. They have little pods or boxes. They install this biology into this pod and then install this pod into a storage system. From there, they interface it to a computer system using electrodes and devices. From there, they can communicate with each other and interact with each other in the digital landscape. They also use this computer system as a command center uh, to drive their upper dimensional organ or biology. Yes, there are more particles attached to us. We have an inverse, and then there's a dark particle attached to us. I'm getting harassed. You're breaking the law. They're trying to commit identity theft. So they're trying to take all of my information and use it for themselves. This started with intellectual property theft. So they also have wireless technology. This technology interfaces with the origin biology. So the biology, our third dimensional biology, whatever is left on the inside. Most of these devices are recording devices. They call them preservision devices. Uh, these devices record sensory perception input. So they record our sight, our hearing, our smell, our taste, our touch. And there's a screen. So they have a screen that interfaces with your thalamus and your visual cortex. You can stimulate this screen in replacement of your brain tissue that you normally use for visual thought processing. And it can also be stimulated by other people. They have auditory phones. And then they have technology that interfaces with the rest of your brain and central nervous system. So they can stimulate areas of the brain and central nervous system, like our emotional center. So they can make people cry, feel joy, or become irritable or angry. And they can isolate individual memories and thought patterns and stimulate this area of our brain. They can make you experience a memory or a thought pattern. And they even have devices for your sexual organs. They have sexual relations with each other using this technology. And this technology also artificially elevates neurochemistry and hormone levels. So they stimulate their brain and central nervous system. This elevates hormones like testosterone and estrogen and the growth hormone. And it also elevates neurochemistry. It elevates neurochemicals like dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. This has an extremely narcotic-like effect upon the user. And lastly, this technology allows them to create surrogates. So it allows them to drive other organisms that are not their own. It allows them to drive other people and other animals in all dimensions. So the Scientology community is a criminal enterprise. They have taken over all of the institutions in our society. They are exploiting people with influence, power, or authority. So if you have any kind of influence, authority, or power, or any special abilities that they desire, or a job position in which they desire to control, they will force you to assimilate into a hive mind, or they will force you to practice Scientology. This allows them to control your behavior for personal and monetary gain. They are conditioned to mess with biologies. So this is all they do for a living is remove body parts from people and other organisms. So either they are helping a person practice Scientology to access the upper dimensions, or they are stealing biologies from people to complete the Scientology process. So they have to use stolen biology to complete their upper dimensional organisms to make them function properly. So these people, they're conditioned to do this. They do this as a form of employment and a hobby. These people are invading our privacy. So if you have internet or social media accounts, cell phone, or even a television, you are in danger of uh, getting uh, forced into Scientology, or they will use this technology on people to invade our privacy, to try to gain an understanding of what we are purchasing or what we might like to purchase, and then use this information to try to sell us things. Control our internet ads and the algorithms in which control our ads and the things that we see, and even the commercials on television. Uh, they kidnap people. They force assimilation upon people. They turn people into surrogates. They invade our homes and our businesses, and they even use their upper dimensions as lookouts so they can invade our homes and or break and enter into our homes and our businesses, take things or modify the environment. They traffic humans, both for sexual purposes and for organ donations or for organ theft. Uh, they are using biological weapons so they can drive other organisms, and this includes bad organisms like parasites, microbes, and viruses. Yes, and they're using these bad organisms on people. If you get forced to assimilate, these people will take over your life. They will tell you what to do, where to go, how to do your job. They will force you to make decisions. And then if you don't comply, they may turn you into a surrogate, full blown surrogate, which means they can drive you themselves, or they will sabotage you. They will hurt you. And if you have anything that they want, they will take it from you. They exploit people. That's how they're taking over our society. They are using this upper dimensional technology to control. They like to contaminate our food and our water supply with parasites and chemicals and other contaminants. And they like to destroy our environments. So this entanglement property that pertains to our biology also pertains to the area around us, our environment. So it pertains to our homes and the land we live on, and our cars and our clothing. So they can take uh, the extra dimensions away from these things and take it to a remote location and interact with this environment from a remote location in some manner. Torture, rape, and murder is rampant among these people. They have victims constantly. Yes, and they can even control our afterlife. Our extra dimensions, uh, mainly, we use them mainly for life on Earth, our third dimensions. They help us process the energy of this universe. Everything has extra dimensions and an inverse and dark particles, even the foods that we consume. And we use this extra dimensional biology to process our foods and our water and our oxygen and to interact with the world around us. Uh, Almost everything that we experience comes from inverse biology. It comes from our inner dimensions. If you lose interdimensional biology, you lose sensory perception and ability to process energy and ability to function properly. It causes sickness and dysfunction. So, uh, their behavior of messing with body parts, they are conditioned to do this. They are conditioned to put their hands on people, both legally and illegally. Plus, they commit criminal activity. They are also conditioned to do this. Coupled with their elevated hormones and neurochemistry, it is causing some severely psychological issues within these people. They are extremely psychotic and delusional. They are extremely irritable, angry, and violent. They have addictive behavior. They are very jealous and petty. They are machoistic. They are sociopathic. They don't have any empathy. And they have a God complex. They treat humans on Earth like little Barbie dolls because as they remove their extra dimensional biology and take it far away from the third dimension, they expand at a greater rate than we do on Earth. They become big compared to us. And they spend their time stealing biology, creating surrogates, and helping people practice Scientology. So this started with for me when I joined Facebook media. I was a political activist. I participated in politics a lot. There was a large group of people, and I had a large following. So we discussed elected officials, lawmaking, and policy, and environmental issues. We participated in politics, and I'm also an author. So I'm part Native American. My Native American name is Crazy Bird, and I write a lot. So I inspired a lot of people. I helped a lot of people write their own literature, and then someone forced me to assimilate. So I started hearing voices. At first, they tried to control me, tell me what to do, how to do my job, when I could go to the bathroom, when I could take breaks. And I told them to get away from me. I did not accept their advances. And then a whole bunch of people came, and they were hostile and mean, and they threatened my life and my liberty. Then it became apparent that the world, that the public, was invading my privacy, civilians and the government alike. Then I felt violently ill, so I could feel things stuck inside of me, inside of my ear, my head, my face, my neck. My whole head swelled up. My eyes started drooping down. So I started going to the hospital to get x-rays done, and they didn't find anything. And then these people started stealing my intellectual property. So I wrote Crazy Bird Comics. I wrote the Environment Creation Agency. I wrote Divine Currency or Buffalo Dollars. I wrote Alien Bob, Bug Bob, and several other stories. And as time went on, they stole more and more intellectual property, and the harassment grew worse and worse. So people like radio companies, media companies, the internet, Facebook, uh, Google, these people started harassing me on a daily basis and communicating with me in strange ways. Uh, then one day, I started to see things and hear things. So I actually started to see these organisms in my environment. I started to see their upper dimensional organisms, their upper dimensional biologies, in which these people were driving on me. Uh, then, then they wanted, then they started taking biology. So they got to witness me write my intellectual property. They became attracted to it. They seen it as of great value, and they thought that they owned my intellectual property. They started stealing it. So then they wanted the biology that allowed me to write and create. So they literally stole brain pieces, pieces of my brain, and utilized it as transplants for themselves. And the whole entire time they were hostile, demeaning. They threatened my life and my liberty. They gave me death threats constantly and assaulted me constantly using parasites. So in this moment, it became apparent that I had parasites, a lot of them. and they use them to assault me on a daily basis. I almost died several times. I've been to the hospital like 40 times over this ordeal. Well, as time went on, they took more and more biology, and some of it they're using for transplants, some of it they're using for surrogate purposes, and some of it they're using for torture devices. So because of this entanglement property, they can take my biology to a remote location and torture it, and I have to experience the pain and the discomfort and the sickness in which this torture brings. Then they started doing things like opening holes in space-time and putting my biology down a hole, then locking it out of entropy. They can do things like this in the upper dimension, putting it in a place where no one can get to, where they can't get it back. And I'm still entangled to this biology. And it's filled with parasites and objects and torture devices. They have it all stuck in me in bad places.
Chris, what are you doing?
Nothing.
Not making no video? You're on top of your damn head off. We need to clean back in the bedroom.
I am very sick. My skin's been burning, my eyes burn. I'm in severe pain and discomfort as I've lost a lot of my brain function. And they keep hurting me very badly and then providing life support so they can repair some of the damage that they have caused. And they keep me very sick. They keep repairing it to try to cover up what they're doing, because they don't want anybody to see what they're doing to me. And my biology is in a million pieces all over the place, and different people have possession of different parts of it. And so I'm extremely sick. They are premeditating my death. So, and then lastly, dead people and these Scientologists, they experience time in a different manner than we do in the third dimension. So they experience time as a simultaneous event. They see the past, the present, and the future all happening at the same time. Whereas among the living in the third dimension, we experience time as a linear event. We see the days passing one after another after another. We see seconds, minutes, and hours. So in this very moment, I'm being assimilated 13 years ago. And in this very moment, I'm being born. And in this very moment, they have turned my father into a surrogate. And they are driving him as he gives me the name Christopher. That's not supposed to be my name. My name is supposed to be Robert Wayne Weathers. So now my name is Robert Christopher Wayne Weathers. Also, they could come back to this very moment and sell this whole event as a martyrdom to the Christian community and to the rest of society. Tortured to death.
What is it?
Nothing.
What are you talking about?
I'm just writing my book.
You ain't writing your damn book. You're
Yes, I am.
talking shit on Facebook. Posting that crazy, stupid shit.